The reason why initial coin offerings are interesting is that, let's face it, if you've got an interesting business, in many instances, if it makes sense to use the blockchain, you can raise a lot more money a lot easier right now than in a conventional offering. So that is why there's so much buzz and excitement. So to frame that, about $6 billion was raised through initial coin offerings in 2017. And really, nothing much happened in 2017 until April. That was when it really started, and then it went like that, went ballistic. In this year to date, which really means through June, the industry has exceeded 6 billion. It's around 6.3 billion. And the average transaction this year is about $30 million per company. Last year was about half that, about $15 million. So when you do something that fits and makes sense in this space, actually it is a lot easier to raise money for an initial coin offering, which is why entrepreneurs have been jumping on this and having a fun time with it, right? Okay, there's been a lot of excess and abuse because of naivete and potentially more base motivations, but in this country, the SEC has made it clear that's not okay. And so now there's an era of more prudence taking place and fewer transactions, but those that are being done in the proper manner. So that's kind of the context. One of the interesting things about token offerings is that you would think, well, there's shares, right? I mean, there must be shares of ownership, but they don't actually. Most current initial coin offerings are not providing ownership in the underlying company, which is kind of novel. You're buying someone who buys those tokens or coins is buying them because they believe they can go up in value. I'm not saying that's the best thing on the planet, but that is what they're doing it for. And part of the context is that Bitcoin, that I'll explain in a moment, it's whatever it is, $7,000 or so now. There were people that bought in at 50 cents and less, and people that bought in at $1 and $3 along the way. And when I bought a small position, I thought it was heinously overpriced because I looked at the backwards chart and it showed me that it was scary, risky, blah-de-blah. But now, since then, I look like a smart dude because I've held on to it through neglect more than anything else, and it's done really well. So that's kind of cool. But because of that factor, part of the reason that initial coin offerings are so currently vibrant is that there's an awful lot of people that intentionally or accidentally did what I did, except most of them are young techies. This is what I would say are the people that are currently investing in initial coin offerings. I call them the Bitcoin wealthy. Of course, there are others, right? Ethereum has an insanely high return that it's generated for the people that got in early. I have some numbers here I'll refer to. Actually, I'll refer to them now because I've mentioned them. It would be kind of weird not to, wouldn't it? So Ethereum has, why aren't they telling me what I thought they were? Okay, yes, so initially they sold their tokens for a price of 36 cents, and they're currently trading at $475 per token. So if one was lucky enough or smart enough to buy into that, you've done pretty well, right? So in that context, and Bitcoin is more insane because it's gone higher, there's a lot of people who tend to be I call them the Bitcoin wealthy, people that are young techies, excited about the blockchain, which we'll get into, and everything that can be done with it, and believe in the revolution, all these positive things that can be done courtesy of the existence of what the blockchain does, and I'll get into that too. So whether they intended or whether they were lucky, they've made a lot of money. And you've got these young people excited for change, and they're in a position where they can cause more change. So they're investing, and they're the primary investor group in ICOs because they got the money and they are believers, right? That's a huge reason why initial coin offerings have been so successful. They're playing with house money in a way. Their cost was here, they're here. They kind of want to invest this excitingly or prudently, more emphasis on the exciting than on the prudent. Okay, so that's a little bit of context as to why initial coin offerings are attractive. A couple of other points around that. It's probably obvious, but may not be, that this is way the hell early. Right now, because so much has happened and there's been so much buzz and excitement and so much change, if you're paying attention, it feels like we're, well, Christ, there's so much happened, it's all over and done with. That is absolutely not the case, in my view. I feel like this is analogous to when the internet was first introduced and we had god-awful access speeds and terrible browsers available to us, and there wasn't a lot you could do. It was a real tiny subset of where the internet has gone. I feel like we're at that stage with the blockchain. And so it's an exciting time to be involved in this space because there will be and are tremendous opportunities if you take charge of it, if you get yourself immersed in it and choose to lever it. One of the nice things about conducting an ICO is that when it's done properly for a company, of course, always the caveats, right? It's a real company, it has its reason to be, people are going to like it, they will invest in it because they're excited by it. Then in that scenario, what you see happening is a company with virtually no money, but just enough to get started, going out, doing development, really developing a plan. It's more of a company concept typically. Not suggesting that that's the best approach. I'm just saying that it's possible to start out with a concept, raise the seed money, then raise the Series A, then the Series B, then the Series C, all in one continuum, in one transaction that doesn't take very long. And you even end up with a publicly tradable asset in many instances, if not right away soon. That is pretty radically better than what we are used to, right? So that's another reason why entrepreneurs are interested in it.